Is my Wi-Fi okay? Okay. Here. Okay, it says excellent right now. Why does it say it's waiting for me? No! God, I hate this. Manage, manage, manage. Not on, what? What? What does this mean? I don't know what's going on. This is hurting me. Do you guys see me? What's going on? This is confusing. This is the dumbest crap. This is the dumbest crap. Did I fix it? Do you see me? Do I look like a potato? Or do I look like I'm using a potato for the stream? Can you hear me? It only took half an hour. It only took half an hour. I finally think I figured out what was going on. I had to enable dynamic bitrate. That is, funnily enough, like not what YouTube was telling me was the problem. And what YouTube was telling me was the problem wasn't the problem. And I checked it like 3 times because I felt crazy. You know what? I did all of this. I didn't get myself a drink. Chat is very slow to catch up. What do you mean? The chat that shows up on screen is always delayed. That's not new. I can do something about it, but I won't. Exactly, Alda. What will I do without my Diet Dr. Kelp? Anyway. I read chat over here anyway, so I don't even read the chat that you guys see. That's just for funsies. One day maybe. One day maybe I'm gonna fix my YouTube chat. But not today, cause I'm too lazy. I don't even think that's the rest of the melody for the song that I was parodying, but okay, anyway, I need to sit up straight. Do you see how I'm like a little scramp? I deserve to have my wife stolen. Okay. Is everything gonna be okay, guys, you think? Is this my punishment? Is this Comcast punishing me for getting cheaper internet? It's not even worse internet. I just got a better deal. And I think Comcast is punishing me for finding a loophole. I think I'm being targeted. I think this is a hate crime against woman. I think this might be a woman hate crime, frankly. Okay. I gotta get my crap together, which means that I did waste a lot of time updating my computer, but it was screaming at me. Probably should. It was capitalism. I mean, it's so embarrassing because so many people popped into the first stream that I had to end, and now I'm embarrassed that all I had to do was fix my bitrate and I would have been fine. But I didn't know. Blame Canada. Blame Canada. Okay. I had to move my light so that I could see you guys better. Let me pull up John's video again. Since I messed that up. Okay, it looks like I've already watched it, but I haven't. It's funny. Okay. I just realized something that I still... Hold on. Thank you, Funny Catty. They are from Spirit Halloween. Check those out. Aren't they adorable? I get these at Spirit. I couldn't really afford to go all out for Halloween this year, but I'm not the only one who believes that this year the Halloween decorations are not doing it for me. Does anybody else in chat felt like Halloween decorations this year were pretty gross? Like they weren't inspired. I didn't like them. Anyway, thank you so much for the folks who let me know about their how long they've been a member. Lehan, member for 8 months, and the other one I think was on the other stream and I don't remember who it was anymore. We're so back. It barely feels like October. It really does. Yeah, all the costumes looked bad. I don't know. I couldn't even get inspired. Oh, Tyrion, thank you. Oh my god, I unplugged my headphones. Anyway. Hi, Nessie. Thank you. Okay. And then let me share the stream. Let me share the stream. I need to figure out how to edit scenes before. Thank you. This year is Earth's flop era. So true. Yo. All right. I got it taken care of. Thank you, friends. I need to edit this scene, and I don't want to do it on stream because it's so embarrassing. Can I edit my scene in the shadows without you guys seeing it? What does this button do? I did not need it to do that. Okay, well I messed it up. Close. I did mess it up. Okay. People don't put up Halloween decorations where you live. Oh my god, Tyrion. I could put you in timeout, but I won't. Halloween hasn't been as fun. Do you like when the candy goes on sale? Yeah, you said that. Like other than these earrings, which I do love, the only other thing that I got like excited about Halloween wise was, two things. One, I found some really cool like harvesty pumpkins. I really like getting the unique ones, like the light green ones and the super bumpy ones. I love those. The different autumnal gourds. And I found some of those and I really like those, so I put those on my porch. And then also Kit Kat came out with a little Dracula, little vampire guy this year. That's really yummy. I mean, it's just a Kit Kat, but it's like a thick cat. It's thick Kit Kat, and I like it. I'm like, I could do with some more thick Kit Kats. I don't know. That's where I'm at. How do I do what I need to do here? This is so frustrating. I wish I could just put you guys, like, I want to put you guys on, like, BRB and then edit my scene. You can do that on Twitch Studio, but you can't do it here. Can you guys, like, yell at me every time I start slouching down? One of the houses on your way to work has a coffin with a skeleton crew of the mystery gang in it. Oh, that's so cool. There is a person, not in my neighborhood, but a neighborhood near, like, close enough to me that I drive past it, like, every day. And they have huge things. Like, they have a bunch of huge, I mean, like, creepy crawly guys, like zombies and stuff. And they have these, like, funky animatronics that, like, look like they're crawling out of the ground all the time, and I love them so much. They look really stupid, but I love them. But thank you, Tyrion. I'll do that, Nervous. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I really mean it. Don't want to dox myself, but you live near a town known for Halloween. Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I can't talk about some of the stuff around where I live because it will objectively dox me. Not, I don't think enough, but I don't know. I'm not really there yet. One day I won't care if you guys know where I live, but, like, not my address, obviously, but, like, the area. One day I won't care as much, but right now I just do. I love that you guys are like, OMG, I love the fit the moment that I'm not just, like, in a ratty t-shirt. Like, it's like, well, she's normally in a ratty t-shirt, so let's give her some good graces. She put on a sweater or a cardigan or whatever. She really did that for us. The hair, if you're like, oh, Nervous, how did you do your hair? This is truly in reality how I woke up. All I did was fix my bangs with a spinny brush. But otherwise, she woke up like this. Well, and I put makeup on, obviously. But hair wise, the hair just do what it do. Hi, BB. We fixed it. It was the bit rate. I needed to turn on variable bit rate or whatever I said earlier. You can't go into town during weekends in October here unless you want to be around hundreds of people. Oh, jeez. Thank you, Evan. My day was fine. How was everybody else's days? What am I doing? Okay, I need to just do this. Let me just make a new scene. Let me just start all over. Wait. What is this called? What is this called? Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry that I'm having to go completely away. But it's the only way I know how to, like, edit a scene without it being a problem. Okay, see, look, I came back so fast. I was just like, I think if I go to my internet right now, it may not be on the right thing, and I just don't want it to say something I don't. I saw the void. It's true. You did indeed. Okay. Now I can do this. Okay. Window capture. Create new. Because I just don't know what it's set to capture, and I don't want it to capture the wrong thing. Okay. There we go. Oh, good God almighty. There. That's good, right? God, now I have that Blame Canada song stuck in my head. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot. It's me. I was in the void. Okay, what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? I need the color source. I need to add my black bars so that you guys are not having to look at that. Oops. What? Why is this like this? Oh my God. Okay, I've done everything a little bit wrong, but I can fix it. Just bear with me. Okay, it's not gonna be perfect. Hi, you're not really late because it took me forever to get the stream started for reasons completely like this. Today I was actually on it. You know how like the past like 2 Fridays I've started like an hour and a half late? That was because I came home and like literally took a little nap. I came home, I got started. I took care of the animals first, but then I got started and it just didn't even matter. What is the chat? Oh, it's a browser source? I was like, I don't know what anything is. There you guys are. Look at you. Look at you guys. Meow. We've all acknowledged the excellence of the fit. I also, again, you guys are silly. I appreciate it. Like, obviously, I appreciate a compliment. I won't turn down a compliment, that's for sure. But it feels silly. Because it's literally not anything. I'm like, it's just a sweater. I'm like, all I did was put on a sweater. Or whatever. What do you call this? A cardigan? It's got buttons in the front. You have been given a window. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to center this as much as I possibly can. In the box. It's not quite there. Okay. That's done. That's not good. Oh, Jesus Lordy. Are you guys subscribed to FNAF? Because if you're not, now's your chance. Okay. That's good enough. I don't care. I've decided. Oh, yeah, Tyrion. It's a cardigan. Okay. I'm just like I guess, like, in my head, what is a sweater, then? Like, what's a sweat? Can everyone explain to me what a sweater versus a cardigan is? Because I always thought cardigans were, like, longer. Like, if it was a cardigan, it was, like, longer. But this is, like, it just is, like, shirt-sized. All right, and then I need the flow chat alert, or flow alert thing. Copy. Paste. All right, the flow alerts can go up here. All right. Sweater is pullover? Oh. Just be Casey, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Sweater is pullover. So then what's a sweat Oh! I get it. Interesting. Okay. That makes sense to me. So when I say it's sweater weather, I've never been wearing a sweater. I don't have anything like that. Oh, no, I do. I have 2 sweaters. I'm an idiot. Duster is long. Okay. Silking that song. No, I think you guys are probably right. Like, honestly, like, I think in my head, in my brain, a cardigan is a loose fitting. You know? No, a sweatshirt doesn't have a zipper. A sweatshirt doesn't have a zipper. That's a different thing than a hoodie. No, you're joking. I would never call something with a zipper a sweatshirt. Because it's not a shirt if it has a zipper. Right? Shirts can't have zippers. No. What? How is it a shirt then? Oh, I hate it. I hate this. I hate this conversation. I'm losing my mind. This is breaking me. We've got to react. Okay. I'm so sorry that I even started the discourse. I'm such a goob. Okay. I'll watch this, but before we really get into the chit-chatter of it, I'm going to get a drink. But for now, we're going to watch this. Here's what I'm going to say. I think it's great, Catastrophe. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to react to this like I'm doing a react video. So I'm not going to look at chat until we're done. So if you send something during the viewing of this, I will not read it. I'm not telling you not to talk, but I won't be reading during this because I do want to just have like my own thing because I feel like this is not y'all's fault. When I read chat while I'm watching this, I don't form my own opinions. Oh my God, Raven, I'm so sorry. So, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to sit up straight while I do this too. So, I'm going to say chat amongst yourselves. Don't get mad at me because I don't say something to your comment. And if you guys see somebody being like, why won't she read my comment? Just let them know I'm not reading comments until after the video so that I can keep my thoughts straight. Thank you so much. And now we'll get into the video.
3 years ago, I made a video where I pointed out the various Nightmarionne plushies hidden throughout FNAF's security breach. At the time, it felt like this groundbreaking discovery, but even then, I knew it could mean nothing. It's very possible that someone working at Steelwool hid these plushies throughout the map just as a random Easter egg. But then, Security Breach Ruin came out, and the plushies were back. Stop, Steelwool! They put this in-
They're coming for you, John.
The game to just taunt me. Then 5
Sorry, I need to move these up, I guess, a little bit.
months later, Help Wanted 2 came out, and once
There's
again,
nowhere for these.
They were back.
Shut up! No! Please! What are you doing here?
Over a year after my initial Nightmarionne video, these things were still popping up in every new FNAF game Steelwool put out. Until 2 months ago, when we got Secret of the Mimic. To my
Well, yeah. If there were Nightmarionne plushes in Secret of the Mimic, I'd probably just quit. I'd probably just quit out the game, frankly, because I'd just be like, nope. Nightmarionne is not in Secret of the Mimic.
surprise, there are no Nightmarionne plushies in the game. But that's the thing. There are no Nightmarionne plushies in the game. During the part of the game where Jackie is chasing you, she noticeably gets more and more broken as time goes on. By the end of the chase, she looks like this. Her nose is gone, she has black tears streaming down her face, and if you look closely, you can see black stripes have now appeared on her arms, just like Nightmarionne. Not only that, if you happen—
No, not Jackie being Nightmarionne. I have made the— well, see, I'm more closely relate this. I mean, and it's still Nightmarionne too, but the way Jackie gets all messed up, it reminded me more of the Nightmarionne staff bots specifically, like just those staff bots. Because Nightmarionne's tears are so specific, like they're not like streaks, they're full lines, but you know, still is what it is at the end of the day. But
to get jump scared by Jackie, you can literally hear Nightmarionne's jump scare sound playing in the background.
I feel like I heard—
this is now
I've heard somebody point that out before, but I didn't know what to make of it, of course.
the fourth Steelwool FNAF project in a row where this character has shown up as a secret Easter egg. We've passed the point of this being a coincidence. So today, I'm finally gonna try and answer a question that's been bothering—
Jeez, it's crazy how people It's crazy how people change.
Point of this being a coincidence. So today, I'm finally gonna try and answer a question that's been bothering me for nearly 3 years now. What is the deal with Nightmarionne? Let's get started. One of the
What's
weirdest
the
things
deal?
about all of the Nightmarionne imagery showing up in the modern games is that Nightmarionne is
Yeah.
technically not a canon character. The first time we saw Nightmarionne was in the Halloween update to FNAF 4 in 2015, and in a very rare post from Scott
That was 10 years ago. I just need us all to, like, look at ourselves and say that was 10 years ago.
He actually straight up said that the Halloween edition of FNAF 4 was not canon, meaning that Nightmarionne, along with the Jacko animatronics, were not supposed to be canon to the story of FNAF. But then, 3 years later, Ultimate Custom Night came out, featuring the Jacko animatronics and Nightmarionne. Ultimate Custom Night is a fully canon game, so is Scott now going back on what he said and making the characters canon? This confusion ultimately put Nightmarionne in the questionably canon category.
Along with the entire game of FNAF World.
This then leads into Help Wanted, which was released 1 year after Ultimate Custom Night. In Help Wanted, Nightmarionne is back, and with a whole FNAF 4 minigame dedicated to them. Help Wanted is once again a fully canon game, so why do we see Nightmarionne here? Well, in another rare post by Scott, he talked about why this is the case. Quote, "The challenge was this. How do you take characters that are canon, along with characters that are questionably canon, and characters from every point of the timeline, and throw them all together in one game that is canon?" His solution to this was to make all of the previous FNAF games in universe.
We have recreated many of these completely fictitious scenarios, lies that you've been fed over the last several years, into a hilarious VR game.
Yeah, super hilarious. Haha funny. Haha funny. Haha so funny.
So although Nightmarionne is
Cut to.
questionably canon to the story of the original games, it can still show up in Help Wanted because FNAF 4 Halloween Edition is likely a real in-universe game. This essentially means that Nightmarionne is this weird non-canon original character that was put into Help Wanted just because they wanted to. All of this might make it sound like Nightmarionne has no meaning behind it whatsoever, and to that I'd say, yeah, this character might mean nothing, but that also might be the key to solving its weird appearances in the modern FNAF games. This brings us to option 1. Help Wanted is being mimicked. In Help Wanted, we're introduced to Glitchtrap, which is very likely the Mimic AI. One of the reasons we think this is because pretty much the only voice line Glitchtrap has in the game is it mimicking Tape Girl's voice.
Hello? Can you hear me?
And as we know at the end of the game, Glitchtrap successfully escapes the VR game by taking over the mind of Vanessa. Vanessa then lands the job of the security guard at the Pizzaplex, while still under the control of...
Oh my god. A car just drove by. No, is it? I can still hear the music. There is some strange music playing in my real life right now, and it just is freaking me out a little bit.
Vanessa then lands the job of the security guard.
I don't know how much I agree that Vanessa is who we play as in Help Wanted 1. It's like I I feel more, I don't know. God. It's terribly possible. I know I feel like that's what we've said. But only because of Curse of Dreadbear. Not necessarily because of the base game. But it's just weird. It's just weird. I don't know, but if it is Vanessa, I don't think that she's like a game tester in that game. I think she's doing it again, like she's not supposed to be in the VR headset. I think she's like gone rogue, if you will. But it just doesn't, yeah, I don't know. I guess it just really depends on how you look at special delivery. But anyway, not worth. It's okay. We will move forward.
at the Pizzaplex, while still under the control of the Mimic virus. The reason this option is called Help Wanted is being mimicked is because the Mimic AI might be using Vanessa to mimic what it saw in Help Wanted.
Oh, you know what? This actually, I hope, maybe he'll bring this up, but like this would actually make a lot of things make sense. I don't really understand why the Nightmarionne would be a plush rather than like an actual manifestation of the character itself, because it's not like it's mimicking a Nightmarionne plush, it's mimicking the actual thing, which is like very scary and lanky and different. But this would make sense if he brings this up, or even if he doesn't. There's a lot of like weird rooms in Security Breach that are the rooms from Help Wanted, which is a VR game. So there shouldn't be physical rooms in the Pizzaplex that look like the VR rooms, but they are like, I won't say 1-to-1, but they're pretty 1-to-1. Like they're very close, if not exact, to the rooms in the VR game. So that, honestly, this has legs. I'm excited to see where he goes with it.
Let's take the Nightmarionne staff bots, for example. These staff bots are obviously painted like Nightmarionne, but they also have "In Your Dreams" written on their chests. This is a direct reference to the Help Wanted minigame where we have to fight off Nightmarionne in the FNAF 4 bedroom. Nightmarionne is literally in your dreams in that minigame. Further proof of this idea can actually be found in Ruin. In Ruin, Steelwool made the Nightmarionne plushie a collectible object, and also gave it a description. This was the moment they could finally give us a clue as to what all of this means. And they said, quote, "It's from that old headset game." This might make it sound like Nightmarionne has no meaning behind it whatsoever, and to that I'd once again say, yeah, it is.
He said, and maybe it doesn't mean anything. And if it doesn't mean anything, that's fine, right? Zeke? Stay. Chasing Toast around. Yeah. Okay, so that firmly puts the plush itself in the headset, which allows me to retract my previous statement, so that's fine. But it's interesting that that the Mimic would focus so much on the Nightmarionne character, right? That's interesting. Is that because of its connection to Jackie? Thank you, Tarian. That's interesting to me.
Is literally just a character from the Help Wanted VR game. Need more proof? In the utility tunnels under the Pizzaplex, you can find several secret rooms that are hidden behind gates. If you end up upgrading Freddy and opening the gates, you'll find that these rooms are physical recreations of the mini-games from Help Wanted. We have the Plush Baby minigame, the Curse of Dreadbear DLC, and the Build-A-Mangle minigame. These rooms could once again be the Mimic AI using Vanessa to mimic what it saw in Help Wanted, by literally building the sets and recreating the characters it saw in that game.
Yeah, but not characters, right? Character. It's just this one.
I think that's pretty straightforward. It's just the Mimic virus using Vanessa to mimic what it saw. Well, that then brings us to option 2, which I like to call, uh-oh, it's probably more complicated than that. While it's true that
Oh no, a FNAF game? More complicated than what it first appears? Uh-oh. Shocking.
Nightmarionne is just a character, quote, from that old headset game, that doesn't mean it's not important. It feels to me that this character is symbolism for something in the modern games. The Help Wanted is being mimicked explanation could have been the case when Security Breach first came out, since we know that the story of that game was all over the place.
I had a very specific story in mind, and it is very different than the one that got in the game.
So even though Nightmarionne could have meant nothing in Security Breach, Scott and Steelwool might have decided to make it mean something in future games. But even
well, and that makes sense too, because they said, despite the fact that what we saw in Security Breach is not what Scott intended the story to be, that it is canon now, which is why I don't like when people say Burn Trap isn't canon because of what Scott said in the interview, because he literally does say that, well, we had to make it work. Like, this has to work now because that is what it is. Like, it would be so much weirder to say, like, oh yeah, just that game isn't really canon, but it is, but it isn't, but it is. So, and there are other reasons people say that Burn Trap is not canon, and those are, I, can accept those a little bit better, but I don't know how I feel about it personally. Somebody recently told me, actually, that, or mentioned recently that, like, at the end of Security Breach, if that ending happens, Burn Trap does get sucked up, taken up by the Tangle. So it's possible that it's just incorporated into the Tangle now. And that would make just as much sense to me as it not having existed at all. Maybe even more sense, actually.
Might have decided to make it mean something in future games. But even in Security Breach, Nightmarionne is shown to be very important. In one of the most lore-heavy rooms in the game, the Sticky Note room, you can find Nightmarionne staff bot heads all over the ground.
Yeah.
Also, the Nightmarionne collectible can be found in a secret room in the Endo Daycare inside of a golden present.
True.
Only 7 other collectibles in the entire game can be found in golden presents. All 6 of the golden plushies and the Fredbear Singing Show poster. Also, in the server room, you can find Nightmarionne staff bots and wires that look like the puppet's arms. All of that is just in Security Breach. Since then, the Nightmarionne plushies and staff bots have returned in Ruin, Help Wanted 2, and Jackie literally turned into Nightmarionne in Secret of the Mimic. To explain
Well, literally is a bit much, but I see what you're saying.
what I think Nightmarionne means now, we need to go back to a theory I made 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I made a theory where I said that the story of the modern games is very similar to the Silver Eyes trilogy of books.
Right.
I was so confident about this theory that I actually shared it with Scott Cawthon himself on my live stream. I'll say this, Scott. I am surprised at how much inspiration you took from this book. I haven't seen anyone talking about it. This book is Ruin. In the first book, The Silver Eyes, a group of teens explore a mall that was built on top of an old Freddy's Pizzeria. And while exploring the pizzeria, they run into William Afton. This is almost exactly what happens in Security Breach. We explore a mall that was built on top of an old Freddy's Pizzeria. And while exploring the pizzeria, we run into what looks to be William Afton. In the second book, The Twisted Ones, the mall that was built on top of an old Freddy's Pizzeria is now destroyed by a tornado. In Ruin, the mall is now destroyed by an earthquake. In the book, the mall was set to be demolished, but was put on hold. In Ruin, you can see a giant wrecking ball that started to demolish the building. In the book, Charlie is trying to find her brother that's gone missing. This leads her to a cave with glowing
Most of us maybe in chat already kind of know how this is going to play out, but I agree with all of this. I mean, none of it to me is a coincidence. They are pulling directly from the books.
Mushrooms, a waterfall, and a room with carnival-themed mascot costumes. In Ruin, Cassie is trying to find Gregory, who's gone missing. This leads her to a cave with glowing mushrooms, a waterfall, and a room with carnival-themed mascot costumes. In the book, Charlie thinks that her brother is
And why didn't we give Cassie a gun then? Because in the books, the police officer gets a gun. And there's only one person here. And so my argument is, like, give Cassie a gun. I rest my case. I rest my case. You're welcome.
trapped behind a door covered in concrete. In Ruin, Cassie thinks that Gregory is trapped behind a door covered in concrete. And both in the book and the game, it ends up being a trap. The book then ends with it looking like Charlie died, but then they hint that she might have survived, with one of the last lines in the book being Charlie. Ruin ends with it looking like Cassie died, but then they hint that she might have survived, with the last line of the game being
Cassie.
It is almost comical how similar these stories are. But if
and that's why it's like, well, it will, if we do see her again and she is like taken over by the Vanny Mask, if she is like, if she has this duality of being like maybe evil or having evil intent or having knowledge of some of now like something that is trying to take over her, it would be different, of course. It would also be interesting enough if maybe Gregory is the evil one, or Vanessa is or something like that. It doesn't have to be a doppelganger case of mistaken identity or something, but it would be interesting if we then encountered Cassie as Gregory or as Vanessa or some other character, maybe even her dad, in this next potential installment, right? Abyss or whatever. If that is the next FNAF game that is a continuation of Ruin, which it seems to be, they're coming for me. If you hear the sirens, it's because I'm close. But if we then encounter Cassie and she is now the one trying to convince us that she's still the good guy, but she's not. We'll let the siren pass us. Though it is an ambulance, and that leads me to believe there will also be a fire truck and or a cop car driving by in the near future. So that'll be fun to deal with. But I hope wherever the ambulance is going, the person is okay, or the people are okay, and everything's fine. But yeah, it would be interesting if Cassie was, flipped and was trying to convince us that she's good, but something tells us maybe eventually that she isn't. It would be a lot if they made like a robot version of her. I think that the Vanny mask is setting up that she could be taken over by the glitch trap virus, by the mimic virus, whatever you want to call it. So, blah, blah, blah. Watch the ding-danged theory, nervous.
Security Breach is the first book and Ruin is the second book. Which game is the third book? Back then, I thought it would be Help Wanted 2, but now I can tell you that it actually ended up being Secret of the Mimic. Here's why. The final book reveals that the main antagonist is actually a robot that was built by Henry to mimic his daughter Charlie after her death.
Okay, I see it. Yeah, okay, yeah. And we've talked about this. Robot kids are real now. Yeah. Aw. I still want Cassie to be a little evil for a minute.
But before Henry could finish the robot, he realized that what he was doing was wrong and beat up the robot in a fit of grief and rage. Does this sound familiar?
Well, of course it does. It's really funny to me that he's like, in both of these cases, with Henry and with Edwin, no, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm creating a sentient robot that is going to mimic my child. Better beat it to death. Better traumatize it. Hope it doesn't have memory, even though I installed memory on it. This'll never come back to haunt me, literally or figuratively. This is totally the right thing to do. I know that it's because they get all emotional, but I just don't know what it is with men and being overly emotional creatures, Like, come on now. Get it together.
In Secret of the Mimic, it's revealed that the main antagonist of the modern FNAF games is a robot that was built by Edwin to mimic his dead wife. But once he tried getting it to mimic his dead son, he realized that what he was doing...
Why does David walk like that? I'm sorry.
His dead wife. But once he tried getting it to mimic his dead son, he realized that what he was doing was wrong and beat up the robot in a fit of grief and rage.
Stop sounding like him!
Not only that, in the books, Henry famously keeps his robots he built to mimic Charlie in closets in a bedroom, hence the name of the final book, The Fourth Closet. And in the secret ending of Secret of the Mimic literally walks out from inside of a closet in a bedroom.
I mean, you said that.
I honestly feel like I'm being messed with. It feels like Scott and Steelwool had a meeting where someone said, wouldn't it be funny if, and then put this in the game. My theory from 2 years ago was such a big swing because we already had an origin story for the Mimic in the Tales books, and it wasn't exactly the same as the story in the Silver Eyes trilogy. Edwin didn't make the Mimic to replace David or Fiona in the Tales books, but in the games, Scott and Steelwool deviated away from what the Tales books told us and made the story more like the Fourth Closet, with them taking multiple traits and plot points belonging to Henry in the Silver Eyes trilogy and giving them to Edwin in the games.
Not him. You're not. Stop sounding like him.
Stop making me
So how does
listen
this
to it.
connect to Nightmarionne? Well, I think Nightmarionne is representative of the Mimic. In the fourth closet, we learned that the Charlie robot that he beat up was made alive by the rage and agony he poured into it. Quote, I was not Charlotte drenched in grief, I was made alive with Henry's fury. And I think a similar thing happened in the games. Edwin beat up and poured his agony into a robot that was built to mimic his dead wife. And one of the big things that was introduced in the games about Fiona was that she was a puppeteer.
I heard you were a puppeteer and I wanted to record your voice.
Oh, well, yes, I used to be.
I think this could be the tie to Nightmarionne. The Mimic is an agony-filled robot that was originally built to mimic Fiona, who was a puppeteer. This might be why Nightmarionne, an agony creature taking the form of the puppet, keeps showing up all over the modern FNAF games. While looking for more connections between Nightmarionne and the Mimic, I came across this video by Tetrabit Gaming. In the
Before we watch the rest of that, but for a moment, I would just want to explain my little like, for a moment I was like, but how would she know the puppet is a puppet when it doesn't really look like one? But obviously the Mimic program would have knowledge of the puppet just by being in the VR game. So that does make sense. I'm with it. And I like the idea of the if right, the company is still going like, well, let's use AI to tell the story, which it reminds me of Clavis Key's video, which we watched a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago. We watched it recently, where it's like Nightmarionne is a manifestation created by the AI program. So it's not a canon character in the sense that it didn't ever exist, but it they asked, they got AI to continue writing the story so that there are all these outlandish details and things like that. And so it consider thinking about it as the AI program is what wrote the DLC, right? Or the nightmare stages or whatever. These extra levels that maybe wouldn't have existed in the original game, where they're like, oh, well, we added these extra levels with these characters who never really existed in any of the FNAF. If you had the AI doing that, then, it would take aspects of the puppet, right? And be like, oh, I'm making nightmare levels, and this is the puppet, and you know what I mean? And creating this scarier version of it. I don't know if I'm making sense necessarily, but I hope that I am. But it's where it's just twisting the story, right? To be something more fantastical and thus less believable, right? I kind of like this. I think where this is going. I'm liking what this is doing in my brain. It's getting some gears turning.
Between Nightmarionne and the Mimic, I came across this video by Tetrabit Gaming. In the video, he goes through stuff found in the game files of Secret of the Mimic. It's important to point out that scrapped content in the game files is not canon, so take this with a grain of salt.
Well, neither was
Nightmarionne. It turns
Nightmarionne.
out that just 1 month before the game was released, not only did Jackie's jump scare have the Nightmarionne sound effect playing behind it, every single jump scare in the game had the Nightmarionne jump scare behind it.
The mascots actually use the Nightmare Staff Bot jump scare sound effect from FNAF Security Breach.
Every time the Mimic jump scared you,
They
the
changed
Nightmarionne
that.
jump scare would be there, further connecting Nightmarionne to the Mimic. Also, in the Help Wanted 2 ending where Glitch Trap wins, the Nightmarionne staff
Ugh,
bots
jeez.
are the ones
That
acting
really
on
gets
his
me.
behalf. This is another connection to Nightmarionne and the Mimic virus. The Nightmarionne plushies can be found hidden throughout Security Breach, watching us as we explore the Pizzaplex. Just like the Mimic was established to do in Ruin, with the eyeballs watching us wherever we go.
That does beg the question then. Is Vanessa, or did Vanessa, put the Nightmarionne plushes about? Did Gregory do it and not remember that he did it? Or do none of them really exist? And it's like an artifact where originally, when Scott was talking about what burn trap, spring trap, whatever, was supposed to be in Security Breach, he said it was supposed to just see something you see out of the corner of your eye and it's not supposed to move. So I wonder if the Nightmarionne plushes sort of became that. And they're actually like artifacts and they're not really there. I don't know. Because the one you find in Ruin is specifically called like an AR plush. I don't know. That just goes back to like how much of Security Breach is in the physical realm and how much of it could be in a virtual world or something along those lines, right? Like just, I don't know. Gregory's whole story is a little funky. But I mean, you know, I'm on board with this.
But what's most interesting to me is that the Nightmarionne staff bots can only be found in 2 places in the Pizzaplex, in and around the sticky note room and in the server room. Let's start with the sticky note room. In the Tales books, Scott makes it very clear that the Mimic liked drawing on multicolored sheets of paper, and it's because of this that I think the Mimic was being kept down here at some point. I also think the Mimic was able to leave this room and roam around the entire area, since these drawings can also be found scattered everywhere in the sewers. This is one of the places you can find Nightmarionne staff bots, and I think this area represents the physical Mimic, while the Nightmarionne staff bots in the server room represent the Mimic virus. These server rooms are probably one of the most overlooked parts of Security Breach. In the room, you can find a bunch of Nightmarionne staff bots, but also the black and white wires that look like the puppet's arms. There's also a smaller...
Honestly, if you want to go there at this point, like, obviously this game didn't exist when Security Breach came out, but they look more like Jackie's arms, right? Like, the black and white stripes are indicative of the puppet, and we all know that, but they're not fully striped. But Jackie's arms, like, genuinely look like this. You know what I mean? Like, they have this weird, this texture to them, right? They, like, because they're springy or whatever. And these are cables. They look more like, you know, they're connected with, you know, metal that's giving them this texture. But, you know, the thing that they look more like is the way that Jackie's arms look like at the end of that battle, more so than the puppet, because of the, like, multiple colors. I don't know. I hope I'm making sense there. They still look like the puppet. Like, I'm not taking that away, but
also the black and white wires that look like the puppet's arms. There's also a smaller server room near the loading docks that also has the puppet wires. What started as a program that mimicked Edwin's dead wife, a puppeteer, is now decades later infecting everything in the Pizzaplex. I think it's interesting to point out that both rooms also have these giant tubes on the ceiling which look suspiciously similar to the tubes of molten metal found in MCM. Maybe the Pizzaplex is also being powered by molten metal, just like in Secret of the Mimic. Or these are just big orange lights, and it's just a coincidence. Maybe that's a theory for another day. One thing that could also be the case is that Fiona created the original design for the puppet. At the end of Secret of the Mimic, we see on Edwin's computer Access Alt Fazbear designs and Access Puppet designs. And Jackie's music box uses the same song as the puppet's music box from FNAF 2. Maybe this is why Nightmare Puppet would be connected to Fiona, because Fiona literally created the puppet. I definitely think Scott and Steelwool left it vague on purpose, but I honestly hope this isn't the case. I think I'd prefer for Henry or William to be the ones to create the puppet, but that's just my opinion. I honestly don't know how I feel about my current thoughts on Nightmarionne. It definitely feels like this character is important. I think we're way past this meaning nothing at this point. I think this is just another one of those things where we don't have enough information to make a solid conclusion on it, but maybe in the next game we will. These were just a couple of my thoughts on the plushies that continue to haunt my nightmares. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.
Like that. Okay, we watched it, and now we can react to it. I'm gonna go back to normal chatting. If we decide we need to go back to another part of the video for me to freeze frame on something, we will. But, is the AI really infecting the Plex? Because it'd be weird for the wires to have been designed like that unless the AI was always there. I think yes. I think that it... Okay. This was something I almost paused the video to say, but I won't. But I won't. I didn't. It's too late. I can't possibly. But anyway, I did not do that, so I'll say it now. I think that the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, now that we know that they are not canon to the games, they are hints, right? You must read the books if you would like some hints to what is going on in the games. So it's not going to be one to one. Oops, sorry. It's not going to be one to one. So that way it's not just like read the books now, you know the story, which I do understand and agree with people, you know, or with myself from the past who was like, well, that would just be lame if that was the way that it was. And then it seemed to get to a point where it was like, oh my gosh, it seems like maybe this is where it is going. And I was very sad. And then I accepted it and was comfortable with it. And then they said, never mind. And I said, okay, got it. But that's why when we talk about does the AI infect the Pizzaplex, when we are in the modern day Pizzaplex in Tales, the Tales Edwin is coming back to be on the board of Fazbear Entertainment, and they are talking about implementing AI into the Pizzaplex to, you know, drive the story stuff. We already know that in Secret of the Mimic, they were doing something like that, which is insane that AI existed back then, which is, again, why I don't understand that, I don't understand the idea that it is simply AI and that there would not be a, like, remnant component, because I, honest to goodness, believe that it's, like, the solution of sorts to why is this AI in the 70s so advanced, right? Okay, if it has some kind of weird remnant metal in it, then maybe it could develop a property such as that. And that's why they always go haywire over time. I don't know. And that's something else that I'd have to think a lot about, because, I mean, why would it just mimic? Like, why would it not, like, do other things? It's complicated, but it's just weird that in the 70s there's this very advanced AI program. It could be like I've said before, it's like it can be a different world where these things were developed sooner, but why then is everything else not like that? You know, like in the Fallout world, right? It's a different history, it's a different timeline. There's tons of like robots that exist in like the 40s and 50s, and that's not how the 50s go. But it's not just like one guy figured that out. There's tons of different companies that are all developing these technologies alongside each other, because it's a different world, it's a different universe. But Five Nights at Freddy's doesn't have that. It's like just this one weird section of the planet has advanced stuff and nobody else is developing anything like it. I suppose you could say we don't know that for certain, but it's weird that they wouldn't show us, and it's also weird that Murray's stuff would be considered so novel and unique and special if it was something that... Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm getting really off track here. But I believe that the Pizzaplex is running on that same AI kind of stuff that was going on in Secret of the Mimic, and maybe that is even why Remnant must be a component of it, because they understand that Remnant was a component of it in the beginning. Maybe they don't know what Remnant is. I don't know. I there's too many questions, and this is a really big part of why I've struggled to write the second Remnant Plex video, because there's just so much to think about and so many places to go and go, like, what even is the properties of Remnant? Like, I'm so confused at this point. Where does it come from? But yeah. Your theory is that Fiona was put into the puppet so they could use Mexus to hold the mimic. Then the puppet is used as the storyteller after she then turns into the blob. Yes, I like it. Ghost in the Code. John didn't mention Vanessa's security guard outfit matching with Dave/William's security guard outfit from the first book. So true. That's a big deal. My assumption for what the Tales books are for the games is merely Scott's writing board, a sort of testing ground for ideas, so Scott can test what people think as he's drafting stuff. That would also make sense. don't think the AI can be solely just AI, seeing as Secret of the Mimic goes out of the way to show us that the AI doesn't work without the agony remnant filled endo. Yes, I totally agree, Snake Master. And I think that's something I really want to be, thank you, Understood Person. I'm telling you guys, I guess I gotta wear cardigans from now on, because y'all think I'm just fly as heck in a cardigan. No more t-shirts for me. Anyway, so that's what I want to be a big part of my argument in Remnantplex 2, the Electric Boogaloo, is that it solves the question of how is this AI, you know? There's no way there's no ghost stuff. Exactly. I agree with that sentiment. It's just I hear people when they say otherwise. I understand, and I don't think that they're wrong for thinking that there's not ghost stuff because of everything we're being shown. The Mimic is run by AI, but it's fueled by remnant memory agony. Yeah. I think that's, it's like, that's the secret sauce, you know? That's the secret sauce. That's why nobody else can do it. Because, I don't know. The thought of artificial intelligence was just so new at this time. Like, am I right that, like, it was just now, like, playing chess? Hold on. I actually have, like, a place to go from with this. Paris, 1940s? I don't remember exactly. Ah, I had it right. Where is it called? Cybernetics. So this. This book came out in 1948. Cybernetics, or Controlling Communication in the Animal and the Machine. It's the first public usage of the term cybernetics to refer to self-regulating mechanisms. The book laid the theoretical foundation for servo mechanisms, automatic navigation, analog computing, artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and reliable communications. But when was that Paris meeting? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Paris Exhibition on Artificial Intelligence. I need the old one. Chess playing machine. And they reference the chess playing machine in A Tale Story too. No. Was it 1920? Maybe it was even earlier than I thought. Oy. None of this is what I'm looking for. AI chess. Yeah, I can't think of like the am I wrong that it was the 40s? I thought it was the El Ajedrecista, the chess player. First built in 1912. Okay. More refined version was constructed in 1920. Okay, sorry for hitting the microphone. Here we go. The chess player. Okay. Mechanical Turk, yeah. But the Mechanical Turk wasn't the more refined version that like people reference more often than not. This is the one that they're like, this is the one that like was presented at the Paris thing that I was talking about earlier. What is the name of this ding dang? Okay, like here's the Turk. Like here's the original one, right? The 1912. But like in 1920 they made one that was even more refined. Where was this? Paris. This thing. What was the name of the ding-danged? Yeah, KT. I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that, yeah, the original one was the fraud. And then they made a better one, right? In the 1920s? Since it seems that the games are using the Silver Eyes for its story, I believe that the Tangle is an amalgamation from the fourth. And then it... Yeah, it was a real machine. But the... Correct me if I'm wrong. The one that was made in the 20s did not have human guidance. Yeah, as opposed to the human-operated mechanical Turk, El Ajedrecista had a true integrated automation built to play chess without human guidance. But they displayed it at this freaking conference in Paris. Scientific American, is that it? No. It was this meeting of the minds. I guess it was the 1920s then, but like it was this meeting of the minds talking about artificial intelligence. The cybernetic... Yes! It was 1950s! Oh my gosh, I finally found it. Okay. In 1951, El Ajedrecista defeated Savielli Tartakower, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, at the Paris Cybernetic Conference, being the first grandmaster to lose against a machine. So they continued to make it better, and it was the 1950s when it was first able to like fully defeat a grandmaster at chess. Like, so it became smart enough, right, in the 1950s. Okay, the Paris Cybernetic Conference is the thing that I want to talk about. Because this was just such an interesting... What the heck? No. Sorry, no. 1951. My bad. A meeting that missed its mark. Oh, okay, yeah. This is the article that I've read. This is literally the article that I've read about it. Let me do a little bit of this. And a little bit of this. Maybe you guys can read it a little bit better. Probably not, but... Not the World's Fair. The Paris Conference of 1951. This is from the Rutherford Journal. But, yeah, okay. Read you page thing? What? I don't know. In the freezing month of January 1951, an extraordinary collection of people gathered in Paris, France for a conference with the title Les machines à calculer et la pensée humaine. Calculating machines and human thought. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. I haven't taken French since high school. The conference was held at the Centre National de Documentation Pédagogique. I don't care. With support from the Rockefeller Foundation, the organizing committee was chaired by Joseph Perret. Okay, doesn't matter. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. They spotted the importance of binary calculation in the 1930s, and in 1946 visited the USA and saw the ongoing work there, notably this, which I do not know what this is. I would have to look that up. It seems he had all the right contacts to organize an important and successful conference. Those present included most of the leading computing pioneers in Europe and several from the USA, the leading cybernetists, and a number of neurologists. Now, this becomes a meeting of the minds in the Americas and in Europe, which would perfectly pose a like William Afton and Henry, you know what I mean? Because if he is British. But just rewind if you don't know. We're looking at an article about an AI conference from the 1950s. Surely this blend of topics and specialists should have been an earth-shaking meeting from which great ideas emerged, but it has passed largely unnoticed outside of France. So like it didn't go well. But yeah, so they talk about like why it didn't go well. But geez, there's like yeah. Look at this. Large machines, logic, and the physiology of the nervous system, and recent progress in the technology of large calculating machines. So they're like meeting and speaking about using machines for to mimic human thought. And I wish I could find, there was another article that I read that was a lot more specific about that whole like using machines to mimic human thought, like that nervous system. Toast, I swear to God, if you knock my stuff over, I'm rehoming you. I'm not really. No. Toast, no. Don't be gross. Don't be gross. I put hostile architecture up there specifically so you wouldn't do that. Because you knocked over my camera before the stream even started. And that's not nice. You have to be nice. She does not. She knows. She only knows cry, scream, throw up. Don't go right back up there. That's crazy. That's nuts that you would do that. That's unthinkable that you would just go right back up there after I just put you down. Goodness gracious. Oh no, it's Hassan stream all over again. Oh God, am I going to be taken out of context? Freed of the constraints of bread, she cannot be contained. So fair. Oh no, Raven, I'm so sorry. Okay, she's gone. She does not. No rules. No rules for Toasty. Okay, well. Oh, Turing was absent from the meeting. Okay, sorry. There. God, they're so. I'm gonna have to just rewatch my Gooby video because I go over this in great detail in Gooby. So I may need to just like pull directly from that script to be like, this is like where we know AI was in the 50s. And then Secret of the Mimic takes place, what, in 1979? It takes place in 1979. So there were years prior to that. I don't know. I just don't think AI would have been in the play. Like, this meeting didn't even go well. Maybe in some other universe. Is this one that I've read? Is this what I call? Oh, yeah. The birth of artificial intelligence, too. It's like how they... Yeah, the birth of artificial intelligence, the first conference on artificial intelligence in Paris in 1951. This was the first conference. Okay, there were 3 conferences on calculating machines in Britain in 1949. In the University of Cambridge, in the University of Manchester, and then in London. Okay. So see, like, so a lot of early AI talks were happening even in England. So like, in Britain. So like, exactly, Evan. So, sorry, I'm going crazy. So like, if this, I'm losing my mind, sorry. Chicago. Okay, demonstration of several automata. There were several different demonstrations: automatic chess player, telekine, and analog calculator, all operated by Leonardo Torres, Quevedo's son Gonzalez. Artificial animals by Look at that, artificial animals by W. Gray Walter. We should look at what this is too. We're not really talking about John's video anymore, and I should do that. But long story short, artificial intelligence existed around this time, but it was in the very early stages, and we were not, you know, in a place where we could realistically suggest that in only 15 years in the future, Edwin would be creating an artificial intelligence vacuum cleaner that knows how big and small it needs to be to clean specific surfaces, and then also continue to make these things. I don't know. Yeah, kind of. We're talking about AI. But do you know what I mean? Like, because I don't know, I'm trying to think of the timeline. But Scott tricking us into studying is crazy. Okay, anyway. All that to say, Nightmarionne being an AI manifestation or hallucination even, since that is more correct terminology to use when we're discussing AI, is very possible, and in fact, hey Clavis, is very possible and in fact likely. I think that his conclusion, it has a lot of sound, you know, pieces to it. What stinks is that, sort of like what FNAF was saying, John was saying in there, is that this makes it very likely that the puppet was also something that Edwin created. And that stinks, because gee whiz, you really don't want to see that. Now, it could very well be, and this is something that I've thought a lot about, that I've thought a lot about this, is that, yes, exactly, Tenacious, that Henry discovered, maybe even before William, or maybe they both discovered two parts of the same whole. Katie, I like that too. I like the idea of it, like, we think it's an AI hallucination, but it is really this, like, spirit. Now, that is hard to grapple with when it comes to Fiona very specifically, which is why I more like the idea of David being the soul of sorts. Like, I don't know how I feel about Fiona's soul being involved in M1, or M2. Yeah, M1. Because it doesn't act like Fiona, right? It acts very different. Seeker, oh my gosh. Hi, Tallulah. Very similar to our universe, but at some point diverge. Could be the undercurrent of agony / remnant being influencing being the influencing factor that allows tech to advance. Yeah. Well, Euphoria, yeah, that's kind of like my thought process, is like, if we are going based, I mean, if they care about, like, what's really going on at this time. But yeah, anyway, sorry. What I was saying was, it's very, very possible that after Edwin disappears or dies or whatever happens, that Henry discovers it, right? And I could see a world where Henry discovers the technology and is like, ooh, I must advance this technology. But Afton discovers the remnant. And so both of these entrepreneurial folks, one with a more British mindset I suppose, and maybe one with a more an American mindset, have two pieces of the puzzle. Like, but they're not together, so they can't quite get it. Like, Afton can never get his technology quite right, and Henry is unable to, or unaware of Remnant. So they are able to create, both of them, successful companies, but they don't, I don't know, they don't have like the full magic of the two things together. I don't know, I'm making this up. I'm just kind of saying stuff. But if Henry found the computer that we see at the end of Secret of the Mimic, then he could have had the designs for the puppet. And that would allow Henry to go like, oh, it's like the security thing. I don't know. And I'll read this in a second. Overzealous. I still hate it in a way because I just want the puppet design to be something that Henry came up with. But I said this before in a previous video that we don't know how many of the designs actually could have come from Henry, because if he was a worker at the factory or at Murray's Costume Manor and he was on the creator level, then he very well may have introduced these things because, right, they were asking their employees for ideas. There's like a Mrs. Helpful message that is like outside Edwin's office or something. It's pretty far along in the game where she's like, hey, you guys, if you have any fun ideas for things we could make in the factory or in the warehouse, I don't know, whatever, in the manor, in the thing, in our company, then tell us. We want to hear from you. And then the very next message is like, never mind, don't share. There are such things as bad ideas. Oh no. Anyway, let me read this real quick. What are your thoughts on the blob being Fiona due to it being a bundle of wires and absorbing other replica animatronics mimicking Funtime Freddy IDK? I feel like this is possible. It depends on if you mean Fiona or F10 in 4. Because I don't know that I think anything is Fiona. Mrs. Trap, who knows? Henry could have still designed the look we see and just based it off of Fiona's. Potentially. The cradle being the basis of the code for the security puppet is interesting. Yeah. I could totally see... I can definitely see the tangle being F10. Well, but it would have to be like a good side. I don't know. I like associating that... What did we... we were having a conversation about the tangle recently. I don't know, maybe I was just watching a video and I thought I was having a conversation, but T-Dreads actually made that video recently about such things. Okay, so Overzealous, apparently T-Dreads made a video on it. I agree with Henry could have created stuff as an employee. Lack of creation credit could have been the reason why Henry decided to betray Edwin. That's literally what I said, too, was that Henry could have been a really good idea guy, and so he was, like, you know, throwing a lot of really good ideas, which makes sense because of, like, how similar, right, Edwin's stuff and Henry's stuff is, and he could have been, like, feeding a lot of these things and getting really upset that it seemed Edwin was always giving himself the credit. Weird part about it being F10 is that the fact that the blob just straight up kills Gregory. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. The tangle is a weird one because, and you guys can call it the blob all you want, but I'm calling it the tangle. The tangle is a weird one because its motivations seem in opposition to what F10's motivations would be. Now, I guess it just depends because the F10 we see in Security or in Secret of the Mimic may very well not be if it is F10, the F10 that is existing in the newer stuff. If there was like a good part of the program that got siphoned off that wasn't like the I want my son or the one who, you know, is obviously has murderous intent because of what Edwin did to it. If there was like a more benevolent or whatever, or maybe more like chaotic neutral sort of force, and that was the Tangle, that would make sense. I find it to be more interesting if the Tangle is right, is like the where the puppet kind of mentality ends up. But to the point, somebody said, like, well, it straight up kills Gregory. If the Tangle is F10, and if the Tangle believes that Gregory is her son, then she would kill Gregory. Right? Yeah, Tom, I think that's kind of where I'm at. But it feels strange. Oh, she sees him as an abomination. That's also possible. Greg is free of his mind control. So he's not David anymore. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it looks like, not acts like. And that's only if we believe that the virus would make Gregory David. I like that mentality because if he's like, David could very well have been like a crazy prankster. We hear a lot of him laughing. We see the like prank serial that I can't remember the name of right now. That could be suggesting that David was, you know, more of like a well, not a very well behaved child. Jacob, we are talking about FNAF's Nightmarionne theory and then kind of branching off from that. Jest cereal, thank you. So I can see that. I don't know. There's just so much. It's really hard for me to nail down or say, like, for sure one thing or the other, obviously, but almost wonder if we will find out that Secret of the Mimic is a simulation at some point. I hope not. I hope not. Ugh. I need something to have happened for real. There's also the idea that M1 is in charge of the Plex and also simultaneously a separate entity from Glitchtrap who could maybe be a sort of M3 fueled instead by the agony of the MCI. Maybe. I think, what was I going to say? Oh, I think the missing link may be something William did to the program. Because I really believe that William gets his hands on the Mimic. The other alternative, and this is the one I hope is not a thing, is what I have said in the past, where Edwin is really the story, and the Mimic is really the story of Five Nights of Fazbear Entertainment. And William Afton and Henry, if they exist at all, are bits of information that the AI is like pulling to make it like it's their story and that they were the ones, but not really. Like, to try to move away from Edwin's legacy, or at the very, or maybe even just completely rewrite history and act like Edwin never existed. But I don't know. I think that the story that FNAF is telling, though, is very plausible, and I still just think that we are all, not all of us, I think that anybody who is refuting the evidence of a supernatural element in modern FNAF games is missing it. Snake Master, I have to agree with you. I don't believe that they would do that because I think, one, Scott knows we would riot. personally. That's where I'm at. I'm like, Scott knows we would riot. And two, it would make all of the work that the FNAF theorists proper have been doing for the last 8 years useless. And like, we should really only be looking at Help Wanted onward. I really like the idea that Nightmarionne is an AI hallucination, though. I like, maybe there is something, we were talking about this earlier, about the idea that like the AI hallucinations are spirit driven or supernaturally driven. And so in this universe, it's not really an AI hallucination, though that may be a part of it, is the AI getting confused. But the hallucination of it is this piece of this memory or something from something else, from a real person somewhere along the way that gets wrapped up in it. And the reason things go wrong and the reason that things get so dark, whether you're talking about the Tales books or the Edwin creations, like why that stuff like starts to go real haywire, is because of the relation to that agony, like the dark part of a memory. We see it a lot in Tales, so it's maybe something to kind of pull all the stories where something like that happens in and say, what's the through line here and how can we relate this to the games? I don't know. The tiger ghost is growing on you. That's good. I mean, David in general has grown on me. I really like David as a character, even though we don't know a whole lot about him. I hope that they do something with David. That's all I'm trying to say. Going back to real world parallels, I think Edwin inventing recycling shows that the FNAF game tech timeline is slightly different from ours. The term recycling is from way before 79. That's fair enough, Daryl. That's fair enough. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I don't hate that at that. I don't hate pointing to that as something. I don't know how it like makes tech more advanced though for recycling to exist later. But I see your point about the worlds being different. I mean, I think obviously the worlds are different. Like we don't have a Five Nights at Freddy's thing. Like we don't have that. We just don't have that. But I don't know. They would not put that big old part in the game if that was not a clue to the fact that we really need to be paying attention to what is that molten stuff. It's Kitty. Is he toasty? Oh, hi Muffin. She's so cute. You're so cute, baby. You're so cute. We love her. Anyway, I think that's all I can really say about this right now. I think that's good. I am going to stop the stream and rename it and come back if you would like to be with me for the gaming portion of the evening. I hoped to get to this sooner, but I didn't, and it is what it is. But we will play a little bit of a game. But I just want to not chat for too long about this. I don't know yet. I thought I had a game picked out, but I'm now worried about my computer. So we'll see. Anyway. So I'm going to go and come back. But thank you all for watching this video with me and discussing it with me. Overall, like I said, I think it's very plausible. I don't really have anything that's like, no, not possible. So this could very well be it. And I do like, I want to expound upon the like hallucination element of it and how that relates to like what Claviskey made a video about how like every iteration of the story is just is like a game of telephone. I want to do that. 2, John, the Pizzaplex is running on Remnant. What are you doing? You don't need to make that video. I already made it, and I'm making a part 2 to further confirm my theory that at this point, you can't tell me nothing. And 3, I appreciate John not not writing off everything as it doesn't mean anything, or it's just, you know, something that could have been something, but then they decided that it wasn't anything. I'm glad that he actually came to a good, genuine conclusion. Anyway, I will be right back. Okay, bye. Okay, bye for now. No, Zeke, I'm not done. He thinks I'm done.